This is Kenny Leach again, and we're here with another Zoom call for the National Football Foundation St. Louis Tom Lombardo chapter. And today we've got a special guest, Christian Suntrup, who was a past Chaminade player. Only about 6 years ago was a PASS Award recipient for the National Football Foundation College Hall of Fame St. Louis chapter. And he went on to Boston College. Pro-style quarterback, was in the Post-Dispatch top 30. A heavily recruited quarterback recorded by Notre Dame and Stanford. We're going to delve in and dig into some of the specifics of the actual position of quarterback. We thought that'd be kind of fun today. Learn a little bit more about his personality, but also how he thinks, and take you right into his mind on the field and off the field and in the preparation and even as a coach later. So I think you really enjoy this at all levels, whether you're a fan or a coach or a past player or just a fan of Christian Suntrup, because this guy is a really good guy. So please join us, and time is right now. I was going to say, hello, Christian. How you doing today?
Doing pretty good. Thanks for having me, Ken. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's our pleasure, buddy. So I'll tell you, we did a little intro before this, but one of the things just for our membership, I want to tell you, Christian is from Chaminade High School, they had some phenomenal teams back then when he played. It was only like in 2015, so we're only looking back about 6 years ago. But not only was he an exceptional pro-style quarterback for Chaminade, but he also played on the famous basketball team there. He won 27-1, and that's a feat in itself, something to look back at and be proud of, because that had an incredible class there. Do you remember those days? What do you remember about that?
Yeah, those were the good old days. I was so I got to Chaminade in middle school, and I went through high school, played in 07, 08, 9, and 10 on the varsity football team, and had the opportunity to play basketball as well. And just really enjoyed it. Really had a good experience there at Chaminade. Made a lot of friends that I'm still friends with today, and had the great opportunity to play in a lot of good teams. So I really enjoyed that. And it's a lot of the memories I had, a lot of good memories I had from high school. So I really had a good experience there, and it's a great place.
What about some of the players that you play with? Mention some and give them some kudos out to your old team.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll start with Rob Standard. He's the all-time, I think he still is, record probably will never get broken, all-time Missouri rushing record, I think, for career stats, season stats. He went on to play at Iowa State. Still stay in touch with Rob every once in a while. He's a great guy. He's got kids now and has a nice family. A couple other names on the basketball court. I got to play with Brad Beal. Everybody knows him. He just signed a contract with the Washington Wizards. He's and still stay in touch with him as well. He's a great guy. He reaches out every once in a while and give me some tickets, and he's bought some cars from our family. So he's a really, really good guy, and still get to stay in touch with him. And then a couple other guys. I was a groomsman with a guy named Matt Greer. He's a wide receiver of mine, buddy. Cameron Brown, another name. He was an all-state tackle. So just a lot of guys in that class, in my class, that I got to know and I'm still friends with over the years.
And you'll find, Christian, I have at least, that'll, there's something about sports and teammates where 30 years from now, you might lose touch with each other for 5 years, and when you get together, you pick back up where you left off. And from Chaminade, and you were the Post-Dispatch, top 30. You were, one of the better quarterbacks, pro-style quarterbacks, especially coming out of this whole state. You got recruited by, Boston College. Obviously, that's what you ultimately picked. Notre Dame too, I think, right?
Yeah, Notre Dame was recruiting me. Stanford, I was pretty close to going to Stanford. Let's see, University of Kansas, Missouri was recruiting me a little bit. Iowa, Wisconsin. So I was fortunate enough to kind of get my name out there at a young age. And
so it wasn't very long ago that you basically, graduated from Chaminade, and then went on from there to Boston College. You chose, I think you were offered scholarship from Notre Dame and Stanford. You'd mentioned yourself too. What made you choose Boston College over those other two?
Yeah, I at the time, Coach Jim Harbaugh was out at Stanford. Mm-hmm. And Charlie Weiss was at kind of into the Brian Kelly years there at Notre Dame. They both were recruiting me. I was interested in both schools. I think I took the academics very seriously, so that was kind of the final three, I'd say. Boston College at the time was just, there was a good opportunity when I first went to play quarterback. There wasn't as many quarterbacks on the roster. And it was on the East Coast. I wasn't super familiar with the East, the Northeast or the West Coast, so it was a little different for me. But it just seemed like at the time the best opportunity to play and also get a great education. And Chaminade was a Marianist high school, and it ended up, Boston College is Jesuit, and really enjoyed it. And it seemed like the right pick at the right time.
Hey, for our viewers' sake, why don't you explain the difference between, I know the difference between the Jesuits and the Marinists, but a lot of people don't. And there's a distinct difference that sometimes matters.
Sure. Yeah. We had the motto at Boston College, ever to excel. That was always the motto within our team and within the school. There's a slight difference. Marianist, I think, is a more of a focal point through Mother Mary, and the Jesuits are servants, through others. And, but also both staying in that Catholic kind of realm, which has always been a big part of my life. And so I was happy to be able to continue that as I went to college.
Well, the good people of South Bend hosted the College Football Hall of Fame for a long time for the NFF and the College Football Hall of Fame. Now it's moved to Atlanta, of course, and they've got brand new. If you've never been there, I think it'd be something you'd really enjoy. But Notre Dame, some people would say that's probably God's headquarters there. I can't say for sure it is, but nobody can say that it's not either, right?
Right. Touchdown Jesus. My grandfather on my mother's side actually went to school there. He was not a football player, but went to school, and we had gone growing up. Brady Quinn, some of those names. Grew up, follow them. I always loved Notre Dame football, and still am a pretty big fan. So it's I had the opportunity at a young age to go to some Notre Dame football games, and I'll never forget that. That was awesome.
Have you been up there in the last couple of years?
I have not. I need to get back up there, but I have not. I would love to go see a game, maybe when BC plays them. Schedule. Check that out. But I would love to get back up there.
They got a new stadium up there that's just awesome, and it would be worth your while to plan a little trip and go up there again, I think. And the tailgaters there are just the Green Bay almost,
Right.
Also, Boston College. Tell us, how Notre Dame has that little tradition where they go out and they tap the sign on the way out the field. Did you have anything at Boston College like that?
We did. On our way out, we had a golden eagle on the way out of the locker room into the stadium. We would always hit that on our way out. That was kind of a tradition. And then shortly after I left, they actually went ahead and built a new, I haven't seen that either, but where our old practice fields were, they built a new facility. So they really kind of excelled the arms race, as they say, but they have they have some really, really nice facilities now. And they did when I was there as well, but it's really come full circle now. Recently.
It's always like that. All the alumni look back and say, oh man, I wish I had that. I wish I had that. So let's go back to your recruiting for a second. And here you are. This is a while back ago, 5, 6 years ago. A lot different than now. How would it be different? What did you go through, and what were some of your expectations and some of your realities that you experienced? And then can you, just for the fun of it, compare what it would be like now, you think, and how you approach it differently?
Yeah, so I'm still coaching high school football, and I see it, and I've had some kids that I've had the opportunity to coach, but I would say, the way I self-promoted myself, or promote yourself as a recruit 10 years ago, is a little different than it is now. I think social media has a big play in it. I wish I would do 7-on-7 camps and travel a lot more. Now you kind of have an opportunity, and some of the guys I coach have a great opportunity to get out there and kind of promote their names through highlight videos and things where you can kind of stay in town versus, we were traveling a lot, trying to get to camps, get myself in front of college coaches. That was the big thing when I was coming up, 08, 09, 10. So I'd go to the Notre Dame camps, went to Stanford camp, things like that. Now I think kids have an opportunity through social media to really promote their own brand and promote themselves. And I think get their name out there a lot easier maybe than 10 years ago.
So coaches, we've got something in common that you and I talked about a little bit before, but So Tom O'Brien at Boston College, he was one of my old Navy coaches. Frank Spaziani, one of my favorite coaches, always a great positive attitude. I don't know, head coach roles sometimes change that, but as a defensive coordinator, he was just awesome. Tell us a little bit about them and reminisce a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. We, Coach Spaz was recruited me. He came all the way to St. Louis with Coach Brock, a tight ends coach, and he ended up bringing Coach Tranquil, who we talked about.
My recruiter. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And Coach Tranquil, a quick funny story. I just ran into him up in northern Michigan. He's retired now, and it's a small world seeing him. He's still playing racquetball. I remember him at Boston College. He played racquetball. He plays racquetball every morning.
What's the odds of that, Christian? I mean, how old is he, first of all, playing racquetball?
81 years old, and he's still playing racquetball every morning.
Unbelievable.
I know, it really is. And so he recruited me, and it was great to catch up with him. And Coach Spaziani, I just think I liked everything about him. He was a defensive-minded coach, but I really liked, him coming all the way to St. Louis to recruit me. He really, showed me the love and showed me care, and just felt appreciated and wanted to be a part of the program. And I really respected that about him, and the things that he did for the university. So that was kind of the attraction there that kind of pulled me in and made me want to go play for him. So
he was a player coach, I remember, and he would go through the locker and out on the field singing Italian songs, and just real jolly. Coach O'Brien was a little bit more of a standoff type of guy, but he's had some very good success at Boston College. And then I think he went from there to North Carolina or North Carolina. But they, a lot of those, George Welch, that was my head coach, associates went on to do better things too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great to see. And I have some friends in the coaching Division I football coaching community now. And it's great to see, some of those opportunities that are awarded just through meeting different coaches and getting into that and starting at a young age. And one of my buddies is back at Boston College. His name's Sean Duggan, great guy. And he's coaching linebackers there. And he's really enjoying it. He was awarded a great opportunity. So
let's continue on the coaching part, because you're coaching a Chaminade right now as an officer's coordinator, right?
Yes.
Give us some mindset. I mean, this is the perfect audience for you. A lot of them are coaches. They're avid fans, or they've got a higher than average intellect about football itself. So take us into the trenches about what you think about coaching, what it's like now, how you better yourself, and what you try to do for yourself.
Absolutely. I think, first in 2015, when I came back home, I was, had a great opportunity with Antoine Torrey. Coach Torrey's been at Chaminade. He's actually going on his 10th season as a head coach. I played for Doug Taylor, who was there my first couple years. But in 2015, I came on, and he had a defensive coordinator that left for another job. And, he needed somebody to run the offense. And I was about 23 years old and never coached before, but been around the game my whole life. So in 2015, we had a great run, great kids, and had a good team. We fell a little short in the state championship. It was the last state championship at the Dome downtown. And after that, 26, and ever since then, I've been at Chaminade coaching, and I really enjoy it. I really enjoy helping kids. I stay in touch with a lot of the kids I worked with back in 2015 as they've developed and gone through college and played. And it's just a rewarding thing for me. I really love the game, and the game, what I always tell people is the game gave me a lot, especially at a young age. And I learned so much from so many different coaches and players and teammates that it was kind of like I had to get my fix. Football was over for me, and playing at least. And it was like, okay, well, now what? I needed to kind of find myself and figure out what I wanted to do. And getting back into coaching was a great opportunity for me. And I've really enjoyed, since I guess this is my 7th season now coaching. So as the offensive coordinator.
Well, there's something rewarding about giving back, like you said. I think once you're interested in that sort of thing, that you want to get involved in, you're going to be a good coach. I mean, I could tell. I mean, I know all of the primary ingredients in a coach, and you've got them all. You've got the experience, you've got the intellect, which you really can take people a long way. You seem to have the type of situational thinking that I really respect a lot. That helps you. I mean, that you get that probably from a quarterback. You've got to be that way, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I try to be in, we try to go fast. I learned a lot. When I played in high school, we were more run game, run heavy. And obviously you got to play defense, run the ball, and special teams. That wins you a lot of football games. But I learned in college how to play a little faster. So one thing I've been implementing is a lot of tempo, playing fast, getting on the ball, getting on the line of scrimmage, because that's kind of how the game's evolving. A lot of shotgun, not as much under center as when I was playing and before me. But the game's always changing, it's always evolving, and that's some of the things I try to bring to the table is playing fast offensively, trying to score a lot of points and move the ball and just play at a high tempo.
Illustrate that for some of the quarterbacks coming out of high school now going into college. Mm-hmm. I know you remember, because I remember things that I expected and just totally surprised me going from high school to college. Give us some of that transition and let's enlighten some of these kids.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big transition. I kind of had early on a hard switch. It was, high school football is a lot different than college football. It becomes a full-time job. It is at a young age if that's what you want to do, but once you step up into that realm, it's a full-time job. And I try to preach that to the kids that I coach. When you take that step, it's got to be all things football. You got to be a football junkie, and it's just got to be your whole life and your whole way. Between that and balancing your academics, it's not always easy. So that was one thing I learned early on in my college career is, well, first of all, how much faster the game is. It's played at a much faster pace, and then just getting in your playbook and understanding and film study and everything you can do, because so much of that is the game happens so much faster at that level. You have to be able to make decisions on, especially a quarterback, split-second decisions. They got to be quick. It's got to be fast. So you have to do all your homework basically and all your study to prepare yourself to make those type of decisions that quick.
Not only are you a good quarterback, but you're a pro-style quarterback. And so I wanted to try to get into your mind on what are some of the traits you think are important to be a good quarterback, first of all, to keep on moving up the levels?
Yeah, I think number one, and one thing I preach with my guys is, confidence. I think understanding as you develop your skill set, I think quarterback's a great position. It's almost like, well, I'm not very good at it, but it's almost like golf. It's a very skill-oriented, takes a lot of practice just to get your footwork down. There's a lot of mechanics that go into throwing a football. It's like I think of it like an art. It's a very special thing. Not everybody can do it. So there's that whole component. And then you translate that into actually playing in games. It's happening so fast. You're making decisions on the fly. You're trying to read defenses. So I think it's a great thing if you can master the skill set and then kind of translate that into playing. And then, the other thing that's always about quarterback is, leading your teammates. I think, it's like the middle linebacker on the defense or the, captain of the hockey team. Everybody's looking at the quarterback and looking for leadership and guidance. And it's a really important trait to have, the confidence in yourself and the confidence to play well and lead your teammates.
So you mentioned, mechanics and techniques and stuff, and it brought something to mind. I've got to ask you two things on this. One, I remember as a Navy player seeing Dan Marino play as a freshman for Pittsburgh. And we were playing him one year. And one thing that really stood in my mind, this kid's a freshman. He's really tall. He drops back and he would just stand there. He wasn't bouncing around anything. He would just stand. And when he let go, it was just like, it was all at the same time. I didn't see him wind up or anything. I knew that guy. I remember saying, this guy's going to be a star someday. I mean, it was phenomenal. He has a number 13, which was your number 2.
Yeah. Yes, it was. I wore 12 in high school, and then I got to BC, and Matt Ryan, whom a lot of football people know, he wore number 12. So that was kind of, at the time, I think he's retired now, but at the time nobody was touching that number. And so I moved to number 13. And some people, guys like Marino, you watch them. I didn't get to grow up watching him, but I've watched his highlight films and seen him throw. Some guys are just so gifted and so special, the way they just shoot that football right out of their hands. I mean, it's a thing to see. It's pretty cool to see somebody so talented. And then you kind of take that natural ability at the quarterback position, and then you implement all the mechanics and coaching points and all these fine details. And then on top of that, you got, 4 or 5 guys trying to rush the offensive line, take your head off. There's there's a lot going through your head. There's a lot going on, and it's pretty impressive to see see some of the high school quarterbacks now come through the area. It's a great thing to see.
Why don't you touch on reads for some of our more membership that is watching or in a little bit more depth? Go ahead and don't be afraid about getting too specific about it, but touch about what goes through a quarterback's mind when they do some reads.
Absolutely. Yeah. We run now a lot of kind of read pass option. So we have a lot of, the quarterback has a lot of decision-making ability. We kind of divide the field into thirds. We want to either run the ball or throw some bubbles or screens on the outside, and just reading the defense, understanding the defense. I always joke with some of the kids about playing video games. Maybe they shouldn't be playing so many video games, but it can help. That something like that, just watching film and understanding something as simple as defensive alignment in a 43 defense. If the outside linebacker is stacked in the box, well, hey, maybe we have numbers out on the perimeter. Let's throw a screen out here versus, him splitting the difference. And we got a light box. We know we can run the ball inside. It's a very numbers oriented game, I think, offensively. And that's one thing I enjoy about it. And that's what I try to coach our quarterbacks up on and then, reading coverages, is the middle of the field open? Do you have two safeties? Do you have one safety? Are you thinking cover one, cover three? What's the cornerback's alignment? Where are your linebackers? Things like that. It's a lot that goes through a 16, 17-year-old's mind. But as we coach through that and work through it, some of these guys pick it up. And once they start picking it up, the game really kind of comes to them and becomes easy for them.
At Navy, I'll never forget this, as a wide receiver, I'd branch out and, one of our advantages, we had some pretty smart guys on the team. We weren't very big. So, Welsh was smart enough to really, take advantage of that. We'd go out, and whether it's a cover two or it's going to be a man-to-man or a zone, I might have three different patterns I'd run. That was hard enough for one person, but now the quarterback, he's got to remember 3 times this one. There's 4 receivers normally going out. That's 12 different possibilities. How do you do it?
There's a lot going through your head. Yeah, absolutely. Plus just your slide protection or pass protection or what have you, just making sure you're not getting hit. You got to know what 10 other people are doing. Plus you got the ball in your hands and you got to make, decisions in split seconds. So it's a lot that comes on a quarterback's shoulders, but as you learn the game and just kind of work on it and practice makes perfect. You kind of develop some of those skills and as you get older.
Christian, how did you prepare for a game in the week prior to coming up to it?
I would always try to watch film. I think that's important. One thing we implement now is we do scouting reports. That's big, even at the high school level, just to, get what are we looking at? What is the defense, especially offensively? What is the defense trying to do? Who are their guys? Is the right corner better than the left corner? What about safeties? What are they doing with their safeties? Things like that. You really can kind of.
You mean matchups?
Yeah, matchups. You can really study and look into your matchups and figure out, come up with a game plan. What do we want to do? And then, cohesively as a team, coaching staff, players, we all come together and we try to figure out what the best way to attack each week is.
That's funny. Bob Button, who and was our executive director for 30 years with the NFF St. Louis chapter, he always said, I've heard him say this a number of times, you give me a team that has just one star and we'll beat them every time because, matchups and because you can take that game away from that one person, right?
Right. Absolutely. That's one thing that's great about football too, is it's not one, I've always loved that about it. It's a team game. It's not, it's not maybe basketball. You can get it done with one guy. It's a little different. It takes 11 guys working together on both sides of the ball to really be good.
So tell me, take us through and let's say you're out in the huddle. Give us a mental preparation. What's going through your mind when you're out in the huddle on a specific situation? You can take an example. You can just tell us your primary thought pattern or whatever.
Yeah, sure. No, it's if you got a pass play call, maybe you got 2x2 and you got your seams are running, your slots are running corner routes, and your outside guys are running short bench routes, short out routes, something like that. And you got it. So the first thing you're thinking is, I'm always thinking pass protection. You break the huddle, I know it's a pass play. I got to think, all right, what's my pass pro? Am I sliding right, sliding left? Is my back involved? Then you then you look at your safeties, you look at your secondary. Like I said, you look at the middle of the field. Is it open, close? Is it nod coverage, even coverage? Where am I going pre-snap? And this is what I work with my guys. You know, you can get to the point where you're breaking the huddle and you're making a decision before the ball's even snapped. And that way, you know, using that confidence, like I was talking about earlier, you're confident enough to know where you're going with the football and you're not guessing. And if you can get to that level at a quarterback, especially at the high school level, you can make just about every throw, because the mechanics and the training kind of comes in time and you kind of master that, but it's being able to make those decisions real fast.
So another thing that I experienced that I'll bring you privy to is George Wells. I'm walking with them one day and I noticed they drafted, I mean, we had like 8 or 10 quarterbacks on our team. Well, they only travel with what, 3 maybe?
Yeah, 3 or 4. Yeah.
I had to ask him, well, how come you recruit, 8 quarterbacks? He goes, well, we found out that usually in a high school level, the quarterback is the best athlete. And if we don't use them quarterback, we'll use them someplace else. Right.
Right.
So, it doesn't surprise me hearing the things that you're talking about. The mental, capabilities you have, the knowledge of the game that, yeah, you can be used in a lot of ways, including business. So
absolutely. Yeah.
There's some transferable skills that you take with you to business if, from the quarterback position.
I think leadership, I think working with others, I think that's a huge thing. That's one thing I always preach is just sports in general. Being on a team is very similar to, work in the professional world. You have to be able to work with people, understand, be able to read rooms, understand people, get along with people and work kind of together towards a common goal. I think you see that a lot in business, and that is absolutely transfers from playing sports and playing football. So I think that's one skill set. Time management's another one. I think, growing up, especially going to college, I was talking 12, 14-hour days with just between class and school or class practice, training room, meals, things like that. So you kind of learn how to manage your time. Hey, I got to try to get X, Y, and Z done today. Let's line it up. When can I get it done? And things like that. I think that really helps. Playing the game of football really helps in life with, working with others and kind of time management. Those are maybe the 2 biggest things my takeaways.
Well, I think you'd be a catch for any business there, Christian. That's obvious to me. A great presence, a great mindset, smart. Tell me what are you aspiring to? What's your outlook for what you want to contribute to business and in the world out there?
Yeah, absolutely. I was working when I first came back. I was working in commercial lending at Great Southern Bank, kind of learning how to loan money against commercial real estate properties. We were lending the money and kind of learned how from a bank. I think working in a bank's a great place to start, and you can make a great career out of it as well. Learned a lot there, and then I did that for about 3-4 years, and then I transitioned over for the last 2 or 3 years working in our family business. So we're in the automotive business. I work a little bit in that. I have some siblings that work in that business as well. I have an older brother and a younger sister. And we also here in Clayton we're in a commercial real estate, agricultural real estate business. So managing properties, we're kind of in the, we sell commodities, corn and soybeans and throughout the state of Missouri. So, I've learned a lot about through banking. I've kind of transitioned that here working with our family, which has been, a blessing and been great for me, and really enjoying that so far.
Well, and I bet you they're happy they've got that family advantage to have you on their team too, right?
Right. Everything helps. And, you learn to work with your family. As growing up, I didn't really know all that as much. I wasn't involved. I worked at the car dealerships a couple of times, but I've really enjoyed being able to, the opportunity to work with your family. It's a real blessing. It's a great thing.
So some of your studies really started where you're coaching now, and kind of going back to, tell us a little bit about what Chaminade means to you and how it's been really gratifying for you to do full circle and try to help there too.
Absolutely. I think, just being able to play there with some of the teammates I had and some of the coaches and early on in my life was awesome. and then to be able to come back after 3 or 4 years away from it and come back and coach has been just incredible. I really enjoyed giving back, like I said, and working with some great players. We've had since 2015, we've had some great players come out of Chaminade and go on to play at the college level. A couple really good quarterbacks, a kid by the name of Michael McGovern. He's at Brown. He's going on his 5th year, I think, at Brown University. And Brady Cook, who's at University of Missouri now and fighting for that starting job, a 2-deep quarterback. And some other great kids at other positions. So it's really been a great for me. It's been, I really enjoy. I get a lot out of going back and kind of like you said, bringing it full circle and being able to help out at Chaminade where I graduated.
So, the reason we're talking today, of course, is because, a good 6 years ago, the National Football Foundation College Hall of Fame, St. Louis Tom Lombardo chapter chose you as one of their award recipients, and gladly so, so what do you remember about that? What did it mean to you at that time? And don't be embarrassed if it didn't mean anything to you then, because a lot of people didn't even know what it was, but later on, usually you figure that out and tell us why is that important to kids?
Yeah, I think it's, being awarded that as part of a recipient of that group or my class, if you will. I still have my plaque. I still, it was just a great honor because it was, it was highly competitive, good athletic football players that also, put emphasis on education. I mean, some of those guys from that group have gone on to do some great things, and that's really cool to see. It wasn't, just the football player or just it was kind of very well-rounded young men that were given that award. And I take great honor and really appreciate receiving that award back then. And, like I said, I still got my plaque.
You earned it for sure. I'll tell you, a lot of people don't know, but the committee, a lot of times they go in there, they don't even look at names. They look at your accolades and everything in order to make sure that these are people that qualify and they meet the qualifications we want that person to have. And so we picked the best of the best, and which is always kind of fun for Kelly and I to meet you guys. You have your own personalities, you have your own routes, your own paths, but there's always one thing that's common. You guys are just good people. Good people. I mean, that's why you contribute so much in so many different ways, whether it's going to be athletics or football or business or community. You got something to give back. Don't you agree, Kelly?
Yeah, that's for sure. It's just such an honor to be able to meet you. It's going to be true, but just to have the opportunity to talk to you, I want to watch your practice. I want to see you break down the film. It's just exciting to listen to what you have to say. So and the lives that you're touching by going back and coaching, and you're putting some of those things that you've learned or some of your gifts that you have into those student athletes is great, because it's just gonna carry on. So I appreciate all that you're doing out there to give back.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that, Kelly. And it's just really, really great to be able to help. And that's one thing I really enjoyed over the last few years, to help coach.
So one of the things you're doing in NFL this year, it's different, is we're promoting membership. So one thing I'm going to do is we're going to give you, a membership on us, to, make sure that you're part of that. So some of the things that come with membership, a lot of people don't know. I'm just going to touch on a couple of things that are important. One is just plain football advocacy. You and I, and even Kelly, she's married to a coach. We're always going to have football in our life somewhere. If you're not coaching, you're going to be enjoying the game, or you're going to be promoting it or whatever, So football advocacy is one thing, whether you're a fan or a past player or a current coach or whatever. The other thing is you get a newsletter, which keeps you informed what's going on around the country, which is interesting on the college level too. Another thing a lot of people don't realize is you get voting privileges with a membership. When they have the nominees come out, like right now, all the college in the different divisions, then we vote. We get like a ballot of selecting all those people from way back when and stuff like that for the next class. And then you get free tickets to the college hall. I hope don't quote me on this, but they used to be where they gave you free tickets when it was in South Bend, but I believe you get 4 to 6 tickets free. It's kind of fun. And it's a low cost of like $35, $40 a year. It just goes down when you do like a 3-year span, but and that's a small thing, but we do that for you, and I'm going to do that for the other Zoom people as well.
I
But
appreciate
membership, so what can you give us? What would be your thoughts on if you're trying to you're the salesman that you are, and you really believe in your product, and what would be a good reason for people to say, yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna be a member.
Well, I think if you love football, if you love being around it, whether it's the high school level, college level, and want to be connected with people that like you or similar to you, I think it's a great cause. It's a great organization to be involved with. And you can really stay connected within the football community. All things football. I'm a football junkie myself, and you got to have your fix. You got to be involved. And I think the NFF's a great way to stay involved in the game that you're passionate about, or the game that you love, because of the connections that NFF has throughout the country. So I think it's a great way to stay in the loop. And if you really do like football and like being around it and just want to read about it or have opportunities to go to the Hall of Fame and things like that, it's a great organization to be involved with.
To Christian, Bob Bunton just had some great things, which kind of led to this call too, to say about you. My buddy John Former talked to you for 5 minutes and just went on and on about how down to earth you were and great guy. I want to thank you for first of all sharing this with us and coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed speaking with you, and then kind of back and forth and getting this set up and finally getting to put a face with the name. And I really enjoy you guys reaching out. And
any shout outs or anything? We can put them in or take them out or whatever you want. You got the floor. What do you want?
Get out there and get that membership, NFF.
All right.